Deny, that makes it too easy for them. We need to set a whole bunch of conditions that they have to meet. Denying it flatly plays right into their hands. So I do not support that motion. I support the original motion to deny. I was on the Abercrombie Merchants Association for 5 years. Every single month we got complaints from Jelena. These people do not care about our community. They just want to make a buck off of us. How disgusting to have their people, their customers sitting on milk crates in the parking lot. One, homeless people will get arrested or ticketed for having those milk crates. That's stolen property. And how disgusting, they're blocking the sidewalk already on Abercrombie. Make them clean up their mess first before they get another place to shit on us, excuse me, in Venice. That's all they want to do is make a buck off us. They don't care about the community. They don't care about the parking. They don't care about the noise. They don't care about the milk crates on the sidewalks. They don't care about us at all. All they're trying to do is make a buck. We should not let them do it on our lives. The people in that community are already being hassled because they're being denied services, the unhoused population. This is going to make it so much worse for them. They're going to get hassled to death, and no help is going to be supplied because Jelena is in town, and they're going to make it a lot worse for everybody, the neighbors, the homeless people, everybody in that community. Absolutely no. Do not let these people take over Venice. Do not let them. They're going to take over one by one by one. You watch it. They're liars, and they're not good for us, and they're not good neighbors. I'd say get them out of Venice as best we can.
Okay, we have Amanda, is it Buria?
Borja.
Borja? Okay, so Amanda, followed by Barbara Peck, followed by, it looks like, oh, Stephen Greaves. Okay. Go ahead. You can pull it out if it's too high, just shake it up. There you go.
I hate this, sorry. I feel it's important that I'm here to represent. I live directly behind the project. I have a 14-month-old. These are older homes. I've lived here for 10 years, and we don't have AC units. The windows are open. Like, how is my child supposed to take a nap? It's just very upsetting for my family, as well as my husband works from home. I just don't see how it's a good quality of life for anyone in the neighborhood. Secondly, traffic. I know it's hit on. I will not take Rose, ever. I take Sunset, I'm sorry. I follow the stop signs, I don't speed, but you find ways around. There is too much. Like, when is enough? Thank you.
Thank you very much. Oh, okay, Barbara Peck and Stephen Greaves.
Yeah, I support the motion to deny.
Okay.
The amended motion.
Thank you very much, Barbara. Appreciate that. Stephen.
I spoke before. Do you want me to say I support exactly what you
I'd
said?
like to know, just for the record, do you support the amendment? Yes or no?
Support the motion.
Or you can have 30 seconds and speak again if you'd like. It's your choice.
Speak 30 seconds. It's over anyway. Hi, I'm Stephen again. How you doing? I'm here to say that Jelena's is already causing incredible congestion on Abercrombie, parking in the back, which is public parking and not enough as it is. Now they're building a second one on my street on Santa Clara. There will be 3 restaurants on the corner of Santa Clara and Abercrombie. There will be absolutely no parking. Valet will be used. This is just crazy. We paid over $65 billion in property taxes, and we're getting no representation. It must stop.
Thank you very much, Stephen.
And then you push it that way.
Okay, thank you very much. That concludes public comment. We have the motion to deny, or the amendment on the floor by Mark Salzberg. Remind me who seconded it. It was seconded by Helen. What I would simply ask the board is what I always ask the board. Let's just not be redundant on each other. If we have something we need to say, let's go ahead and say it. But this strikes me as a fairly easy vote, but I don't want to bias it. Yes. This is a substituted motion, really, is what it is. Okay, we'll go Linda, and then we'll go Ira.
I just
just want clarification that the amended motion is a simple denial without any conditions. My concern with that is I'm questioning, I don't know how many of you were on the board before when one of the area planning commissioners came before the board, Donovan. Remember, he came, the people that were here before, and he said, always put the reasons you're denying. Because if you just have a straight denial and you don't put the reasons, it's easier for the area planning commission to just reverse the decision because they don't know what led up to the decision. They could perceive it as arbitrary, all sorts of things. So I recommend, and I don't have a vote, but I'm recommending that you go with the original motion that has the reasons for denial and don't go with the short, we deny it outright without the conditions. That's my recommendation.
We got Ira next, followed by Helen.
Everything that was said by the people is true. We had problems with Jelena. They never did anything. 3 years later, they came back to get GTA. They swore they would clean up the problems. They never did. The only thing that I would like to say is make sure that we're getting what we want. They already have a certificate of occupancy for a bakery and retail only. There are a lot of conditions already built into this. If we just deny, even if we put some conditions on it, we're not really, I think, getting a firmer position than saying, this might even trump whatever we're saying. Personally, I also don't think that he's going to open just a bakery. That's just he's not going to make enough money. He's not going to whatever he paid for the place, but that's a supposition that might be wrong. But I think we, as Mark said, I think we're better off as a board just saying we're holding you to the strict certificate of occupancy. That's all you can do.
A point of information on the procedure.
Yes, Joe.
My understanding.
I'm against the saying just no.
Okay. Joe.
My understanding of the procedure that Mark has raised is that if we vote in favor of this, we can then make another motion that restricts them, a board motion, a substitute motion, that deals with that restricts them to the certificate of occupancy.
Exactly. What I just actually pointed out is a good point. We can't say no to everything and then go pass a motion that has a bunch of conditions on it. It doesn't make any sense. So if you don't like this option, just vote no on it and be heard that way. But we can't say no to this and then turn around and say yes with a whole bunch of conditions.
No, it wouldn't be a whole bunch of conditions. Just to restrict them to what they've been allowed.
The certificate of occupancy is what you're talking about. But if you want to do that, then vote no to this and then bring a separate amendment to do that later. That's my point.
I have to agree with Linda and with...
Okay, that's fine. Hey, look, folks, speak your mind. That's what we're here for. No.
Okay, this is just really fast. The way the motion reads, it says that we're recommending denial, but that we're recommending that we would support it if they did all of these things. And I'm not sure if the community wants us to support this in any event. Well, that's what it says.
Right, but what's on
So
here?
that's the original, that's just FYI, that's the original.
The original, yes.
So if we don't say we vote to deny it, then we go and we vote for the original motion, those conditions indicate that we would support this project. And I think that most of the people in this community don't want to support this project in any event.
Right, let's just deny the project.
Okay, we had Hugh, Jed, then Kelly, then Mike.
With all due deference to Linda, I would just like to say that by passing a motion to deny, recommend denial of project does not mean we would not submit the staff report. It does not mean we would not explain our reasons. It does not mean that we would not attend the hearing and present our point of view. And furthermore, the original motion doesn't explain the reasons. It's in the staff report, it's not in the motion. So I just don't think the point Linda made carries any water as it relates to the validity of the motion.
And certainly what I would just say to echo that procedurally is that this has had such an organized opposition who's going to be at that hearing. Denying will not be in a vacuum. It's not like they're going to get this and say, why was it denied? It's already obvious why it's denied, and plenty of people are going to show up at the hearing. So, having said that, Jed, Melissa, Kelly, and then we'll go back to Linda. Oh, unless you want to jump in there, or do you want to be at the end? No. I think speaker for it, but I forgot you before I did it. Okay, Jed, go ahead.
Thank you. I've been changing my mind multiple times on whether I should vote for denial of this as the substitute motion or not. There's a lot of things going on here. We have a developer that has completely ignored the community on everything. When I was on Loopback back in 2008, I believe, was the first time when Jelina's was brought before Loopback for some kind of approval. Again, this is, if Mark Kleiman, correct me if I'm wrong, but the city planning department has never brought Jelina's up for a plan approval, for their 1-year plan approval, 5-year plan approval. There is, so I understand they're still in flagrant violation of many of the conditions. Loopback stipulated it time and time again. The community has complained time and time again. What Jelina's and 320 Sunset show us is how broken this city's system of governance is. The way to move forward on this, guys, please don't take your own time applauding. The way to move forward on this, guys, is to go to the CA hearing, go to the planning commission, write letters, and you can yawn when you're in those meetings, because we've got to show the city that we care about what's right for our community. We don't have to adhere to various conditions of motions, because we're the ones who should be the bosses here. We make the popular vote, and ultimately it's really up to us. We've got to get out there and do our civic job of telling the city what for. This is really, and this is the reason why I'm going to still wait and see and hear what other people say before I decide whether to support Mark's motion.
Thank you, Melissa.
I just wanted to say I respect all of your thoughts and positions. The woman that almost started crying, that has a baby, I can't imagine. But I also just wanted to bring up that the one thing that I know about Jelina is they provide a ton of jobs. I've always been pro-business, and not only jobs, but more than a livable wage, things that people can actually live off of. There's a lot of people, young people in the community that walk and bike to Jelina, so I just wanted to bring up that point, and that's all.
Folks, excuse me, everybody respected all of you when you were speaking. Let's respect board members even if they say something different than you think yourself, okay? Thank you, Melissa. Do you have any more, Melissa, or are you done? Okay, thank you. Kelly, then Mark, then Linda. And then I really, really would ask the cooperation of the board to get a vote on the table one way or another on Mr. Salzberg's amendment.
Hi, I'm standing up because my back's killing me. I understand Mark's position, and I understand everybody's in the room. I don't think anybody wants this business there, and nobody wants this business there run by that clown. That said,
guys, Kelly, it's not helping.
That
trying to make
I walk through his standing room only line every day. That's supposed to be where the table in the front corner is.
We are elected folks. We don't need to call people
the idea, unfortunately,
hold on 1
is.
second, Kelly. Let me make something really clear to everybody here, okay? Maybe nobody wants to hear it. Folks have gotten up here and they yelled and screamed and said really nasty stuff about people, but we let them say it and nobody heckled them. We should not be calling people names, no matter how angry we are about things. We shouldn't be doing that. Nobody wants names called to them, and nobody wants to call, and I don't want anybody calling people names. We're not chairing this meeting, okay? So please, let's all be civil, and that goes for stakeholders, but also board members. We don't need to call people names. You can make your point just as strongly without that, okay? We don't need that.
Okay, so let me go really fast. We're currently voting on a replacement amendment to a series of conditions being put on a project that unfortunately no longer exists. It has already been fait accompli, approved by the city. There's going to be a bakery, there's going to be retail. And at this point, unless you can provide some kind of evidence of it being a criminal enterprise, that's going to happen. Mark, by putting this out, this amendment out there, is then intending to put out another substitute motion that says basically, am I right on this, Mark, that we're going to hold them to the conditions required on the new business and not allow them to do any additions to it. I may be putting words in his mouth. If that's the condition, then I'm going to vote no, and I would vote yes on that. If that's not the situation, then I'm going to vote to put any and all conditions on this one, even though, to a large extent, the project, as we're trying to put conditions on it, doesn't exist. Currently, they're not asking for liquor licenses. Currently, they're not asking for all this other stuff. So us saying we don't want them to have it, no, because the project as currently on the table has already been approved for the bakery and retail. And the rest of the stuff, if they've got paperwork on it, that's not the project that came to LUPAC, the retail only project. So,
Thank you, Kelly.
I'm not standing here to vote. I'm not standing here to vote yet.
Okay.
Okay, I'm trying to summarize what you said.
Mark, go ahead.
Kelly blattered on, that's quite all right.
It's recorded, we have it on.
I know, and you're welcome.
So there seems to be a couple of things at issue here. One item is, does the CO that Jelina's, or I should say, that the owner has received for the bakery indicate that the bakery is a done deal as far as city planning is concerned? Can I address that question to Mark Kleiman?
That's licorice there, Mike. Don't bogart the licorice there, brother.
Okay. The confusion that arises, and it is very confusing, I understand this, arises because the applicant bifurcated the application. The application that was submitted to the city was originally bakery, retail only, no seating. After that, he then filed a second application to say bakery, restaurant, seating, oh yeah, alcohol. We want to do alcohol. So what was before LUPAC and what was before the board prior to Mark's motion was a proposal for a full wine alcohol sales, 90 seats, restaurant, bakery, etc. That is an application that he has before the city. It's just a second application.
Mark?
So then, what I wanted to say was simply that I still recommend denial of this project, this cafe, whatever you want to call it, project.
Denial of the current application.
And that is my substitute motion. There are a couple of things that can address some of the concerns that were brought up, but I think they will delay the project or our decision. One thing we can do is direct LUPIC to provide a new staff report that includes the new information that LUPIC received and indicate that that is the basis for our denial. However, as I understand process, I think that would have to come before us again next month, so we probably don't have time for that. Secondly, we can provide another motion after we vote that says what we want them to do. What do we want the city planning to do? And I think Joe indicated that he was in favor of doing something like that. But that's where I'm at.
So I'm supposed to be the last one, but I want to ask Mark a question. Would you repeat your motion? Because I think I'm going to change my opinion based on everything I've heard, and I want to change my recommendation, I think.
My motion is to deny the project, that is, disapprove the project. That is my motion, that we disapprove the project that's been brought to us.
And that's the bar, restaurant, the whole thing, not the bakery, Kelly.
We don't get a check. Apparently, the bakery is a DIR, as I'm assuming it's already.
And is there a coastal development permit required? I guess they got it already. Yeah, they got it. Okay, so back to, since I started the whole debate about not approving it or not saying no, just no without conditions, if in fact there's going to be another motion that would strengthen our hand, so to speak, then that would be fine. I just wanted to say, I also listened to Mike saying that the staff report would be there. I would recommend also a community impact statement that everybody sees the first thing. But if the letter that goes out, Mike, with the recommendation, is very, very clear, which you have the authority to write, obviously, because they only read the letter. You have to assume they're not going to read the whole package. Make that assumption, it's not right, but it's possible. It's just we have to have the strongest hand. So I will change my recommendation and support the amended motion, Mark's motion, if in fact it's really going to strengthen our hand that we don't want it in any way, shape, or form.
Let me be really clear before, so we're gonna go ahead and vote here on this, but let me be really clear procedurally about this. If this motion passes, we are not then going to entertain a new motion with a bunch of conditions on it. We are not going to do that. It simply won't happen. Okay? Number two, what will happen if this is denied for folks that are concerned about how will it be presented? Again, I will just reemphasize. There's not going to be, the letter will simply say the motion was denied based on, based on community input. It'll just say it was denied. That's all the letter is going to say. It's not going to have stuff behind it. But what we have to remember is that all the information being looked at here has already gone to them. Ilana and your group have already forwarded all this information to the city who's looking at this. You all are going to be showing up at this hearing on this, as they will also have the BNC denial. So, in my humble opinion, procedurally, it's going to be absolutely clear in this instance what is being said. In other projects, they might be really low-profile projects, and a denial letter to the city would be met with, well, what do we do? What did the BNC think about it? There is no lack of clarity on this project when the city goes and looks at it, even if there's a straight denial. Now, vote the way you want. Again, I'm not voting unless there is a tiebreaker. But we're going to vote on this. We're going to vote it up or down. If it fails, we're going back to the original motion, and we'll see what happens on that. But if it passes, we're done with it. That's it. I want everybody to understand that. We're not going to turn around and start making a new motion. I'm not taking questions from the audience right now. I'm saying that for people's edification. We're going to go ahead and take a vote right now, Joe. Okay. Starting with Tommy Walker. Tommy, on the amendment, which is simply denying the project. That's what we're voting on right now. Do you vote to deny the project, yes or no?
Yes.
Yes. Bud?
I vote to deny the project. Is that the amendment?
That is the substitute motion.
Okay.
I keep calling it an amendment. It is a substitute motion, my mistake. Ira?
No.
Okay. Remember, a yes is to deny, a no is to defeat this substitute motion. Sylvia?
Yes.
Yes. George?
No.
Kelly?
Yes is it approves. Say it, but I'm going to go with no at this point.
No.
Abby? Mark?
Yes.
Okay. Helen?
Yes.
Max? Hugh?
Yes.
Eduardo?
Yes for this substitute.
Yes, okay. Jack?
Yes.
Okay. Melissa? George?
Yes.
Yes. Matt Klein is a yes. Mike is a yes. Joe is a yes. Okay, let's do a quick tally here. Mike is a yes. And Joe Murphy is a yes. What? And I need a section of your recuse. All right, so by a vote of 12 for, 6 against, 1 abstention, 1 recusal, the substituted motion passes. The project is denied. End of story. Okay, before we move on, Joe, do you have a point of order?
Well, I have a request for clarification.
Yes.
I believe that at this point, another substitute motion can be made, and I'd like a reading on that.
It would not be a substitute motion, Joe. The motion's passed. You can say now that the world has changed because
I understand
we
what you're
have
saying.
passed the substitute motion. a motion might be in order.
No, I'm sorry, as the chair, I'm gonna have to stop there. Excuse me. Let me be clear again if I wasn't clear enough. I, as the chair, you differ with me, there are many ways to take it up later on down the road. I, as the chair, am making the determination that a denial is a denial. A denial doesn't mean you turn around and look at a new motion. It's over, it's done, we deny. We are now moving on to item D, which is 2404 Boone. What I have been told by both the LUPEC chair, Robin, as well as the applicant, is they have asked us to postpone this until next month. Do we have a motion to postpone 2404 Boone? Where is Robin? Is she back in here? Robin, do I understand correctly from Ivan that you and the applicant agree you want to postpone this item until next month, or did I misunderstand that? Time restriction wise, it would be much better to do it next month, unless for some reason it has to be done now, because I would like it to have proper time, and we are already 20 minutes over. Okay. Applicant, how do you feel? Would you rather have it next month? You'd rather go now. Let's get it out of the way. We're here. Let's go. But Robin, do me a favor. Let's read the motion. We'll get a second. Look at any public comment. Get the applicant's take on the project. We'll debate it. We'll vote it. Folks, thank you very much for your time. We really appreciate you coming. I know that was tough and it was long. Thank you so much for your participation. Thank you so much for being involved in your community. But I do have to ask you to step outside for your conversations because your voices carry really heavily and we've got some more business to do. Thank you again very much for your patience, folks. We really appreciate it. Okay, we're going to go forward to 2404 Boone. Motion. Robin, if you would, it's a short motion, so Robin, why don't you just go ahead and read the motion. Let's get ourselves a second. We don't have any public comment, but once the motion is read and seconded, I'd like to get the applicant's presentation. We'll have a debate, and we'll then vote. Ilana, do me a big favor. Take it outside. It's really hard to hear. Thank you, Robin. Go ahead.
Okay, this is for 2404 Boone. It is a CDP mellow case. And there was also a subsequent director's decision for a Venice sign-off in Mellow. The motion, the project description, I'll let Robert do the project description. Let me just make the motion. I move that the VNC board recommend the project as presented.
Okay, fantastic. Do we have a second on that on 2404 Boone? Got a second by Matt Klein. Thank you, Matt. Okay, now what I'd like to do is hear from the applicant. You just need a couple of minutes, or how long do you think you need?
Minutes.
Oh, okay. We don't even have time. Go ahead and just launch right in.
We're building a 2,900 square foot house by right. We're not asking for any variances. We're providing the 3 parking spaces as required.
1 second, I need to interrupt you. Somebody close the door, tell folks to stop talking, because we cannot hear the applicant. It's important that we hear the applicant and what he has to say. Thank you. Go ahead, start over.
We're proposing to build a 2,956 square foot single family home. It's going to be owner occupied by a guy who's living a block away right now with his wife and kid. We're building by right. We're not asking for any variances. We're providing the required parking. And the only reason we're here tonight is for the CDP because of the modification in the process with the CDP recently. You guys are going to be hearing a lot of these.
Okay. Thank you very much. Very clear. We do not have any public comment on the item, so we'll go straight to board debate. Is there? Oh, we do? Did you put in a card? Where is it? Lydia, you can go ahead and speak, but this keeps happening over and over, and only with you. Anyway, go ahead. You got a minute. You got a minute.
30 seconds.
Well, all right.
When is any of these projects, any of them, with all due respect to your particular project, has there been any affordable units for extremely low or very low, any mellow affirmed or approved in the last 2.5 years? The answer is no. So we need to really take a serious look at what we're doing. And where do you expect people with very low and extremely low incomes to live? You have by right to build what you want. However, there is a community obligation here regarding the mellow. You can't keep finding loopholes and abusing that state law.
Thank you, Lydia. Okay, we have a motion on the floor. Helen, refresh me. Robin made it. It was seconded by Matt Klein. That's right. Thank you.
And we have Maori here to give a quick little bit of staff report.
Do we need it?
Maori, yes.
Okay, Maori. Be just as. By the way, it's nice seeing you around the farm again now. Man. Welcome back.
Thank you.
It's like 2008 all over.
Okay, so as was stated before, the motion is from LUPEC is to recommend that the BNC board recommend the project as presented. And as the applicant stated, this is pretty much a by right proposal. The proposal conforms with all the envelope of the planning department. However, there is an issue with the Mello Act that the applicant did not provide sufficient documentation to the housing department, so they denied the applications or at least the Mello Act. However, the Loop Act still recommends it. So just keep that in mind when you vote, okay?
Absolutely.
I'm really actually a little surprised at this, but I have my Mellow Act clearance here, and what he's trying to make, which isn't correct, he says the housing board denied it. They didn't deny it. They couldn't get all the utility bills that are required from the previous owner, who was an older woman. We've had testimony, both in the LUPAC hearing from the neighbors, which we all heard, that property had been owner-occupied. It had been owner-occupied for years by Ms. Dolan, and we have our Mellow clearance right here that was issued by the planning department. I don't really know what Maury's point is. I'm trying to bring this up, but it seems extremely unprofessional to me.
No, I can explain it. I think the issue is that there was an exception made by Greg Shoup in city planning to document this as a Mellow, that Mellow was not applicable by referring to a tax form that just really wasn't a correct way of documenting it and didn't really validate the fact that it was an exception. So, and there was somebody in the audience that seemed to remember that the person lived there, but I was uncomfortable as the big chair having that person be the documentation or the, for the determination. So I think we're not asking for a no vote, or we're still recommending the project. I think the only point Maori was making is that we think that these things should be properly documented and not just approved as an exception with insufficient documentation.
Excuse me, hold on. We're out of order here. I need to step in here. This is, what I get paid nothing to do, but this is my job. We have a motion to recommend the project as presented. I'm not going to entertain anyone who's back and forth about it. We got a motion. The motion is to approve it as presented. We're going to go ahead and take a vote on it. Maori, I'll let you, if you have a last point in your staff report you have to make, take a couple of seconds, but we got a real clear motion. LUPEC recommended to approve it. The board will either vote yes or no, but to go back and forth on something that has a recommended approval makes no sense time-wise in terms of everybody's use of time. So Maury, anything to finish up real quick?
Yeah, well, you have this document with you, which is from HSIT, that states that they don't have sufficient information and they're not exempt.
Okay, so we're going to agree to disagree here on...
Just keep this in mind, that's all I'm saying.
On our mellow interpretation, we're going to agree to disagree, and probably very few people in this room that have any idea about the technical requirements of mellow anyhow. The point is we have LUPEC saying, in spite of all that, they recommend the project. You should vote your conscience. If you don't want to, vote no. If you want to, vote yes. But we're going to go ahead and take a vote on it. Joe Murphy.
Voting now?
We are voting now. Do you vote yes to... Let me... discussion? You're right, we have it. Jed, do you feel it necessary to speak on this issue? Okay, the question has been called. If we have 2/3 of the board who decides to vote, that immediately suspends all debate. So I will go ahead and go down the line. The question has been called. Joe Murphy, how do you vote on the question being called? Yes. Mike? Yes, we need a 2/3 on this. Robin? Matt? Yes. George? Yes. Melissa? Yes. Jed? No. Eduardo? Yes. Hugh? Yes. Max? Yes. Helen? Yes. Mark? Yes. Abigail? Yes. Yeah. Kelly? George? Yes. I'm sorry, it's been a long night. I'm trying to say people's names way too fast. Sylvia? Yes. Ira? Yes. Bud? Yes. Okay, so I think we had 2 no's in there. We had Sylvia and Jed against. Everybody else said yes.
Tommy left. Note that Tommy left.
When did Tommy leave now?
Before this, before the vote.
I'm the abstention. The question has been called. Now we vote, yes or no. Joe, do you vote to approve the project as recommended by Lupek?
Yes.
Mike? Yes. Robin? Yes. Matt? Yes. George? Yes. Melissa? Yes. Jed? No. Eduardo? Yes. Hugh? Yes. Max? Yes. Helen? Yes. Mark? No. Abigail? Yes. Kelly?
Hate rooftop decks, no.
George?
No.
Sylvia?
Yes.
Ira?
Yes.
Bud?
Yes.
Okay, what is the count?
Not enough.
Tommy
Tommy left before the earlier vote.
This is the vote, not, this is not calling the question, this is the vote.
Yeah.
Okay. It's passed. You want me to redo it?
I've got it. I've got it. All right, thank you, everybody. All right, we've got 14, 6, 1.
Okay.
No, 14, 5.
Okay, so the,
No, can't be.
Oh, 13, 5, 1.
13-5-1, the motion passes. Okay. Thank you very much. Thank you for your time. Thank you for putting up with a very long meeting. We appreciate it. I know, we're all tired. This is why we're gonna, hey, look, I will say one thing to the board and everybody else. We're gonna redouble our efforts at AdCom to make sure that these agendas are not overly packed, because I made everybody a promise we wouldn't be here past 10 o'clock, stakeholders and board alike, and it's my 3rd meeting and I've already broken it. So we're gonna redouble our efforts to shorten the schedule even more next month. First 2 months we hit it. First 2 months was 10 o'clock. Yeah, there was a lot of stuff that was a bear today, including creation of a business ad hoc committee. So I'm never gonna let that one go. All right, so come on, yeah, I gotta have my jollies too. Okay, we are on to E, to 10E from Lupek. Robin, you want to go ahead and just read the motion for us, please? It seems another no-brainer to me, but. Hey, Cecilia, as always, thanks. Seriously, you really are pretty dedicated. Okay, Robin.
The VNC board recommends that LA City Planning inform AT&T and any other applicants who are not cooperative in getting the VNC's recommendation on their case that they must coordinate with the VNC to go through their process in order to receive the VNC's recommendation prior to the date of their city hearing.
Okay, do we have a second for the motion from Lupek regarding AT&T? Kelly Willis is our second. We don't have any public comment on the agenda, but it is time for board debate if any is needed. Hugh Harrison.
As I indicated at AdCom, I don't feel this motion makes sufficient sense. We tried to hammer out a substitute motion. We couldn't come to an agreement, so I'm going to, on my own, submit a substitute motion. I have a written copy for Helen. I can send it to her electronically later if it's passed. And it reads as follows. The VNC board recommends that the LA City Planning require all parties requesting new, expanded, modified, or any type of application for wireless telecommunication facilities, including plan approvals, go through the appropriate neighborhood councils, local hearing, and recommendation process prior to the initial city hearing for the case.
Okay, there is a substitute motion presented by Hugh Harrison. Do we have a second on the substituted motion? Seconded by, I got Jed Pauker first, okay? Again, we have no public comment anyway. We have been closed, so we're in the board debate. Hugh Harrison.
The reason I prefer this motion is A, it doesn't stipulate that the first has to be non-cooperation. We had to say right up front, do it. Let's not wait to find out they're not going to cooperate and then make them do it. Just make everybody do it from the get-go. I just think it's cleaner, more understandable.
Save your breath, Hugh. I think you did a great job. It's way cleaner. Anybody else have any opinions on this? This was a nice substitute motion. Jed, go ahead.
I agree with you.
Okay, wonderful. Hey, there's hope in the world.
Assuming that this passes, I'm wondering if it would be appropriate to take it to our other neighborhood.
Absolutely, absolutely. We will take this to RAC. This is a very good one to present to RAC. I like it a lot. Okay. And Hugh, do me a favor, just pop it to me electronically as well. Okay. Tonight. Seeing that, so I get up for tomorrow morning would actually be good. Okay, seeing that there's no other board discussion on this, doesn't look like there is. Okay, do we have anybody who would vote no on this motion? Any no's? Any abstentions? We have one abstention, Joe Murphy. Okay, then the motion passes by 2 abstentions and everybody else is a yes. Thank you very much. That was great. Very good. Okay, new business. We got to get this one out, but I think this is also a no-brainer that a lot of thought has gone into, so please let's not overthink this one. 11A, board and... No, we put a lot of thought into it, and at this point, I believe it to be a no-brainer. It really is just a procedural issue. 11A, board and committee agenda posting policy. Ira Cosmo on behalf of rules and elections. Anything you'd like to say, Ira?
Yes. Oh, I'm sorry. I'll put it away. It's a standing rule 28. Basically, it follows exactly what Bonk has asked. The only thing we've done, instead of one posting place only,